Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserved.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over section 4.1 on our series on operation and decimals. We're going to be looking at how to multiply decimals by powers of 10. The types of problems that we're going to be going over are depicted here, where you're to find the following products. We have numbers, decimals times powers of 10 in expanded form, and decimals multiplied by powers of 10 written in exponential form. Don't forget, we have some practice problems at the end of this presentation for you to try out in order to demonstrate mastery of the contents of this presentation. Alright, the instructions for the examples that we're going to do are for us to find the product. Okay, so for question number 1, it's a 3-part question. Actually 4 parts. 1a, what is the product of 57.3 and 1? 57.3 times 1. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the rule for multiplying decimals by powers of 10, okay? So this is the rule that's going to guide our problem solving process for this entire section. So the rule is as follows. If you have a decimal number, as your multiplier and you're multiplying it by a power of 10, okay? Now, not just any power of 10, but a power of 10 from 10 to the first power. Okay, so let's say a power of 10 from 10 to the first power is your multiplicand, so either 10 to the 1, 10 to the 2, 10 to the third. Okay, so decimal number times the power of 10 from 10 to the first is going to give you a bigger number. The answer will be a bigger number. That's the rule for multiplying by any number that's bigger than 1. When you multiply by 1, you end up with exactly the same number. When you multiply by numbers to the right of 1 on the number line, your product will always be bigger. Okay? So 10 to the first power is way bigger than 1. It's to the right of 1. So you get a bigger number, but there will be an adjustment, an alteration to the position of the decimal point. Since your answer is going to be bigger, the decimal point will shift. Decimal point is going to go to the right. Think about greater as going to the right, okay? The numbers bigger than 1 are to the right of 1 and the number line. So your decimal point is going to go to the right by the number of zeros, or the power of 10. Okay? So you either look at the exponent, the power or exponent of 10, or the number of zeros if it's in the expanded form. That will tell you how many places to move the decimal point to the right. So we're going to leave the rule here, and we'll be revisiting it as we work through the problems. Okay? All right, so number 1, 1a, 57.3 times 10 times 1. In this particular case, we have no zeros. It's just 1. Okay, so what does that mean? You have 57.3. Since you have no zeros here, this is basically 10 to the 0. No zeros. So what's your move? There's going to be no movement. No moves in the decimal point. Guess what? Your answer is going to be exactly what you started with, 57.3. So remember, 1 is a multiplicative identity. Whenever you multiply by 1, you always end up with what you started with. Okay? All right, let's take a look at the next example, the B part. What is 57.3 multiplied by 10? Okay, so let's write down what the answer is here first, following the rules. So 57.3 multiplied by 10. Since you have 1, 0, 10 is the same thing as 10 to the first power. Okay, so what's the product going to be. So let's rewrite our multiplier 57.3. We're going to adjust the decimal point since our power of 10 starts from 10 to the first power. Okay, so how many places are we going to move the decimal point, and in what direction? Since you're multiplying by 10, which is bigger than 1, your product is going to be bigger, so you're going to move the decimal point to the right by the number of zeros. There's only one zero here, so you're going to move it to the right just one place. Bam. Okay, one place to the right, and your final answer is going to be 573. Bam, there you go. Okay, all right, let's try another example. A C part. What if you're multiplying 57.3 by 100? 57.3 times 100. We're going to follow the same pattern, okay? All right, so let's rewrite our multiplier, 57.3. Since we're multiplying by a number that's bigger than 1, the product is going to be bigger, all right? Since it's the power of 10, adjusting the decimal points will help us quickly find the result. How many zeros do we have here? We have 2 zeros, okay? In the other example, we just had 1. So what are we going to do with the decimal point? We're going to move the decimal point by the number of zeros. 2 zeros, so decimal point to the right. Remember, bigger to the right, so it's going to go 1, 2. That's where the decimal point is. We have an open space here. We'll put a placeholder 0. Our answer is going to be 5,730. Bam. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at another example. Question D. What if you have 57.3 multiplied by 1,000? Remember, you're going to move to the right by the number of zeros. That's the trick. That's the rule that we came up with right here. Okay. All right. So what's it going to be? So let's write down our multiplier, 57.3. Now, when we multiply by 1,000, our decimal point is going to go to the right by the number of zeros. So there are 3 zeros here. So we're going to move it to the right 3 places. 1, 2, 3. Stop right there. 2 zeros to fill in these spaces. And our final answer is going to be 57,300. Okay? All right, now let's take a look at examples involving powers of 10 written in exponential form. Okay, so for number 2, I have multiple parts here. Also, for 2a, what if you want to do 0.075 times 10 to the 0th power? Bam, what's this one going to be? We're going to follow the same rule, okay? In this particular case, you look at the power, that tells you how many places you're going to move, okay? 0.075, the power is 0. So how many places are you going to move the decimal point? 10 to the 0 is exactly 1. The decimal point moves only if the power of the 10 is not 0, okay? If it's 1 or greater, it goes to the right. If it's less than 0, it goes to the left, which we'll talk about in the next unit. Okay? All right, so in this particular one, the power is 0. This is exactly 1. When you multiply by 1, nothing happens. So in essence, we're going to have no moves here. What does that mean? It means that your product and your multiplier, are going to be exactly the same. Bam, there goes your answer. Okay? All right, let's take a look at the B part. What if you're multiplying 0.075 by 10 to the first power? Okay, so let's rewrite our multiplier, 0.075, and apply the rule here, okay? If your multiplicand is 10 to the 1 or greater, you're going to have a move in the decimal point. By how many? Just by the power. So in this particular case, the power is 1. 10 to the first power. So guess what? We're going to move our decimal point one place to the right. Remember, when you multiply by any number that's bigger than 1, the product gets bigger. So you're going to move the decimal points to the right one place. That will give us our final answer. The product is going to be 0.75. 10 to the 1 is the same thing as multiplying by 10. All right, C. What is 0.075 times 10 to the second power? What is that? We're going to follow the same rule, okay? Let's write down our multiplier, 0.075. And now we're going to direct our attention to the exponent, okay? The power of the 10. It's 2. 10 to the 2 is the same thing as 100. 100 has 2 zeros. So if you have an exponential, if you have it in an exponential form, that automatically tells you how many zeros and consequently how many moves, okay? So you have 2, so it's going to be bigger. To reflect that change, we're going to move our decimal point 2 places to the right. Bam, bam. All right, 2 places to the right. And that will tell us what our product is. Our product is going to be 7.5. Okay, let's take a look at another example, the D part. What if you have 0.075 multiplied by 10 to the third power? Do you see what the answer is going to be? Following the same pattern, let's write down our multiplier, 0.075. And then we're going to move our decimal point to the right. We're going to make it bigger because we're multiplying by a number that's bigger than 1. How many places to the right? The power is 3. 10 to the third is the same as 1,000. 1,000 has 3 zeros. So the power or the number of zeros tells you exactly how many places to move the decimal point to the right. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Bam. There you go. So the answer is going to be 75. Okay? There you have it. Okay, so we're going to do 2 more examples and then give you some practice problems to try out as we promised in the beginning of this presentation. So, number 3. What if you're asked to find the product of 0.473 and 10 to the third power? What is that going to be? So for this particular one, what we have is let's rewrite our multiplier, 0.473. So this is a decimal. We're still following the same rule that we have here, the decimal number. We're multiplying by a power of 10 from 1. This is 3, so the rule applies. So decimal point is going to move where? Well, since it's positive 3, it's going to get bigger. It's going to the right. It's going to go to the right 3 places. 1, 2, 3. Bam, right there. 3 places to the right. Our answer is going to be 473. Okay. What if we have 593.21 times 10 to the 4th? What is this one going to be? All right, let's work it out. So let's write down our multiplier, 593.21, and we're multiplying by a power of 10. That starts from 10 to the first. So 10 to the first, second, third, fourth. This is 10 to the fourth. Good. So our product is going to be bigger because this is bigger than 1. How many places are we moving our decimal points? Since the power is 4, this is going to be the same thing as 10,000, 4 zeros. We're going to move our decimal point 4 places where? To the right, since it's getting bigger, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Bam. Put in a 0 and a 0. The final answer is going to be 5,932,100. Bam, bam, bam. Okay? All right, let's give you one more example and then we'll give you some practice problems to do. So for question number 5, you're going to have to fill in the blank. We're kind of sort of working backwards here. So fill in the blank. So let's say we have 793.41 as our multiplier times an incomplete multiplicand, 10 to some power. Okay, that's our blank. After doing this, you get an answer of 793,410. So the question is, what's power will you raise 10 to, so that when you multiply it by 793.41, you have 793,410. So what is this blank right here? All right, so what we're going to do is examine the position of the decimal point in the multiplier and the product. Okay, so you notice that in the multiplier, the decimal point is behind the 3. Okay, and then in the product, there's a 0 and a decimal point right here. So the move is going from somewhere here behind the 3, and it's ending up right here behind the 0. So how many place move is that? It's to the right, which tells us it's going to be positive. When you're going to the right, it's positive. If you're going to the left, it's going to be negative. And then how many times? So let's count. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3. Bam. So from behind the 3 to behind the 4 to behind the 1 to behind the 0. 1, 2, 3. 3 places to the right. Ladies and gentlemen, do you see what the answer is? The answer is 793.41 times 10 to the third power. That's the answer. That's the blank. 10 to the third. That is what is going to give us the results we desire. So this is, when we do that, we get 793,410, which is a result of moving the decimal point 3 places to the right. Okay? Alrighty, so here are 5 practice problems we would like you to try out in order to demonstrate mastery of what we've been talking about. So go ahead and pause the video presentation at this time. Try out these 5 practice problems. When you're done, click on the playback button and we're going to reveal what the correct answers are. Welcome back. So hopefully you had a chance to try out the practice problems. So here are the answers. What we'd like you to do at this time, go ahead and check your work against these 5 answers. How well did you do? Let us know how well you did in the comment section below, your score out of 5. If you have any questions, just specify it in the comment section below. We'll be more than glad to assist you, or you can just ask your teacher. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to support our channel by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Tons of support resources can be found at our website at mathgotserved.com, or you can take a look at the links in the description below. Thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next one.